Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, today we are diving into something that is probably going to feel like it goes against every single natural entrepreneurial instinct you have. Seriously. We're talking about the idea that making your brand undeniably stronger actually requires you to intentionally lose customers. I know, it sounds like terrible business advice, right? I mean, we are all taught to cast the widest net possible. But today, we're completely flipping the script to explore stand pillar 02. And I'm going to show you exactly why true lasting brand strength is found in doing the exact opposite.
Let's just skip the pleasantries today and confront a trap that honestly, almost all of us fall into, and that's wanting every single person in the room to buy from us. It's human nature. The instinct is to aim for the dead center of the market and just try to capture absolutely everyone. But building a truly powerful brand, it means figuring out who gets the giant red X. So ask yourself right now, does your brand know which customers to actively refuse? Because think about it, if you don't know who you're turning away, you really have no idea who you're actually inviting in.
Now, getting this right requires a total paradigm shift. Think about the traditional, old-school selling mindset for a second. It basically uses a megaphone, constantly asking, how many people can we possibly reach? It's totally obsessed with volume, metrics, and mass appeal. But the audience mindset, it asks a radically different and frankly a pretty uncomfortable question. Who exactly are we refusing to be for? Because focusing only on broad reach doesn't actually build a dedicated audience. It just adds to the endless deafening noise out there.
And here is the very real consequence of just making all that noise. A brand that tries to serve everyone ultimately ends up belonging to no one. You just become this faded gray ghost in the background. You might be heard by all, but you're chosen by none. When you try to be a comfortable fit for everybody, you end up being a perfect fit for absolutely nobody. But a brand that knows exactly who it's for, it becomes unmistakable. It glows like a beacon in a really crowded room, and that is where you want to be.
Okay, let's put this to a quick litmus test. I want you to visualize this scenario and, try not to panic. Imagine you are forced, by some sudden, unavoidable circumstance, to cut your potential customer base perfectly in half by tomorrow morning. Literally, 50% of the people who could buy from you are suddenly, permanently off limits.
So ask yourself honestly, as you face this massive fork in the road, would you have the absolute clarity to know exactly which half to keep and which half to fire? Which side gets your golden checkmark and which side gets the definitive X? If you're hesitating right now, or if you're breaking into a cold sweat just at the sheer thought of having to choose, well, it means your brand identity just isn't as sharp as it needs to be.
But here's the beautiful part. That uncomfortable little thought experiment serves a really vital purpose. It instantly exposes your true audience. When you're forced to make that absolutely impossible choice of who to save, you essentially put a giant magnifying glass over your core customer. That surviving group, they aren't just a market segment anymore. That is your actual audience, finally brought into crystal clear focus once you just strip away the distraction of everyone else.
This is so absolutely crucial, because without that clarity, you are just another available option on the shelf. You're just a commodity shouting into the void, crossing your fingers and hoping someone, anyone, listens. But real clarity, that transforms you into a magnet. You stop being merely available and you become completely irresistible to a very specific type of person. Look, availability is passive. Irresistibility is active. And it is the absolute bedrock of real brand loyalty.
So we really have to fundamentally redefine what the word audience even means. It is not just some target market slide buried deep in a pitch deck somewhere. It is a fiercely defended relationship. Your true audience is that one customer you would literally raise a shield to defend, even if doing so cost you 10 other customers who, let's be real, were never really meant for your business in the first place. You don't exploit an audience, you protect it.
As we bring all of this together for the core philosophy of Stand Pillar 02, we really need to strip away the conventional definition of business entirely. A brand is simply not defined by who you manage to sell things to, period. Transactions do not equal identity. Pretty much anyone can push a cart and make a sale if they just discount their product enough or shout loud enough, right? Rather, your identity is derived from the definitive position you take in the market. It is all about who you proudly plant your flag for. It's who you stand for. It's about looking at a specific, unified group of people and saying, hey, we exist to serve you, specifically, and we are going to champion your values above all else.
Which brings us to the doorway test, and honestly, this is the much more difficult half of the equation. It's about who you are willing to lose. True standing isn't tested in some clever website copy or a super slick logo. It's tested right at the front door,
through your intentional refusals. It's tested when someone who totally doesn't align with your values tries to walk in, and you actually have the absolute courage to politely hold up your hand and show them the exit.
And this right here is the ultimate mandate for any modern brand. Stand, don't sell. You must prioritize standing for something over merely selling to anyone who will open their wallet. When you plant that flag and you build a truly dedicated community around shared values, the sales don't just happen, they naturally flow from a group of people who feel fiercely and undeniably aligned with your stance. It's like magic.
So, I want you to look at the foundation of your own business right now. Do you have the courage to clearly define who you are willing to lose in order to actually win? Do you know who you're really standing for yet? Because look, until you figure out exactly who you are refusing to be for, you are never going to discover who you were always meant to serve. So I'll leave you with this. Who gets your green check mark today, and who exactly is getting shown the door?
Welcome.